hearty welcome to the Innovation Roundtable Summit 2014. We have endeavored to make this a special event.
It's amazing. So it's a very interesting topic.
Interactive, engaging, and yeah, more real somehow than other events.
This seems to be one of the premier conferences for innovation professionals. So we have to be here.
Everybody always focuses on, we want new innovations, but what you really want is you want a culture of innovation in your organization.
You got to figure out how you can use those talents and passions to take care of something that relates to the collective good.
If success is reinforced by experience, what happens if the game changes?
We have to be more diverse in our thinking.
We want to grow our risk while iterating and pivoting with our customers.
For me, it's a real pleasure to see people come and connect and all the interactions going on.
Okay, a big welcome to everyone. So, it's really good to see you all. Indeed, the 10th annual edition, starting in 2014. Of course, we skipped 1 year because of the pandemic, but here we are. Now, actually, at around this time, it was 17 years ago, I was still assistant professor at the Copenhagen Business School, and I started to call some companies and trying to get some people around my research on innovation. And gradually a network grew and a team was established and we started having events throughout the year. And at some point we introduced the summit. And here we are. And again, we have events throughout the year, but this is the flagship event. So welcome everyone. I hope you'll have a great time. I hope you'll meet lots of really great people and have lots of inspiration from the conversations and from the presentations. So with that, I do believe, and we said that also in 2014, I do believe it's the world's largest gathering of innovators in large multinational companies. It is very much a peer-to-peer event. So over the years, we've had this 4 innovators, and again, from many different countries. But what we've done over the past couple of years is we have introduced the same concept for marketing and for HR. So from today and also tomorrow, there is a parallel event going on for marketeers, and from tomorrow and the day after tomorrow in HR. So we have 3 days for innovators, 2 days for marketeers, and 2 days for HR. And since this has been very well received, we figured it makes sense to do the same for marketing and HR. But it's not only that, it's also that it makes sense to try to create some kind of cross-fertilization. The hope is that it's more than the sum of its parts. So in no matter what domain you're in, you can join the presentations in the other programs. Now there is a dedicated program for marketers, but marketers are totally welcome in the innovation program and vice versa. So that's the basic idea. Now, if you do want to speak to others in your own domain, you can look at the lanyard and the color of the badge if you feel like birds of a feather should flock together. So it is the best of both worlds. And there are no walls, of course, in the lobby. So that's how it works. Now, let me just go back here. In the innovation program, you will find all the themes that we cover during the year at dedicated events. Here we cover all the themes, and we also do that by having tracks, parallel tracks of talks. So we have something on how to create really new businesses in large firms, difficult for incumbents, how to create a culture of innovation, foster a culture of innovation, and there's digital and AI, and there's sustainability and more. Now we have, I believe that those in marketing can be interested in digital and AI and sustainability and more. We have sort of picked one of the themes to be represented inside the marketing program, but you can easily see what the program is for all the other themes. So in the marketing program, you have something on brand strategy and purpose and other themes, but also this theme that comes from the innovation program. So those are the themes that we cover. And from tomorrow, we'll also have themes in HR, employee experience, and more. So let's take a look at the program for a moment. Now, in a moment, we will have a keynote for everybody here in the hall, as you can see here. And we'll also have keynotes the other days. And we also have track talks, as I mentioned before. So those track talks take place here and in the side rooms, and you can select between them in whichever way you like. One of the parameters may be the themes that are covered, and you can see those themes by the colors of the dots. Usually the first dot is the primary theme. And the slides are available at any time. You go into the meeting app, you find the agenda item, and you go under documents and links, and there you can find the slides for presentations of that particular day. Then we upload them every day. So those are the track presentations we have, but we also have a lot of discussions. Now, one kind of discussion is what you will have here after the keynote, which is that you will sit together and talk about your own challenges. And if you haven't already a challenge card with a challenge on it, you can think about what your challenge is that you want to discuss with others. Tomorrow, many of you have taken ownership of a question, and everybody has access to the full list. Take a look at the list and start thinking about which ones you want to join tomorrow. But anyway, the hosted discussions are in here. And again, there are people who have volunteered to host a discussion amongst you as attendees. We also have the labs that are interactive. There's a short presentation followed by group discussions and exercises. And those are also every day. So that's a bit of that. The marketing program follows the same structure. It takes place in parallel today and tomorrow. So that's also visible in the printed brochure and also in what you have on the app, and also the same discussions. And there are other labs and access, of course, again, to both programs. HR, again, follows mostly the same program, the same structure. And in addition to this, we have some partners that we're really happy about and sponsors. They're all out there, and they've been selected from the value-adding activities and services they provide, and from working with large multinationals. I think you'll find them interesting if you go and check them out, or go to their presentations, which you can see are placed at different parts in the morning and the evening mostly, and also at lunch today. And I wish you will have some good inspiration there as well. One of our partners is Ludic Creatives. They're making some fantastic artwork. They're seated right over there. We're really happy every year that they come and make some really nice drawings of the content of the individual presentations. And we'll review those, all of those, in the key takeaway session at the very end of the summit. We also have an evening program. So this evening, you can have the buffet dinner out here in the foyer. And tomorrow, there's the summit dinner outside of the hotel. And there's still a few spots if you go to the reception and sign up. And the same is true of almost all the tours and evening sessions, that there are still some spots. Some of the evening sessions you don't need to sign up for. And as you can see, you can go on tours, walk a little bit away and see something, or stay here and have an evening session. And that will be explained in more detail later. So with that, again, I hope you'll have a really good time with this program. There's enough to do, and if at the end of the program, and in the 3 days, I'm sure you will be full of inspiration, and you will be ready to go and relax a little bit. I hope you can do that. Now, with that, let's have the opening keynote, and that is by Dan Kramer. And Dan Kramer is adjunct professor at Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management, where he teaches innovation and growth strategy. He's widely recognized for his creative work, including by the Fast Company's Innovation by Design Award. Dan.
I just need controller. Thank you, Axel. Great. Good morning, everyone. I think we have a lot in common. Like you, I am interested in innovation and how it is increasing opportunities, generating insights, and increasing speed to market. Today, I'm going to talk about three things. First, a very brief introduction and the opportunity to create human-centered applications for generative AI. And then the bulk of my talk is talking about how to lead the forefront through prototyping AI in the loop workflows, and secondarily, envisioning agentic experiences for your end customers and consumers. So I've spent my entire career in innovation, for the last 25 years as a practitioner, leading the design and innovation consulting firm, IA Collaborative, working for clients like Amazon, Nike, Apple, and many, many others. And then for the last 5 years, I have been leveraging those insights and experiences as an adjunct professor at Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management. The entire time, I've been experimenting, researching, and prototyping with human-centered applications of AI. So when you think all the way back to 2012, my research teams and I were experimenting with the commercial applications of machine learning, for example, in order to enable us to build things like something was incredibly innovative at the time in the forefront, recommendation engines for organizations like United Airlines. And then in 2016, we were experimenting with the commercial applications of neural networks, enabling the interconnection of biometrics, predictive trends, to administer insulin and connect to your Apple Watch. And then in 2017, we were experimenting with the government applications of reinforcement learning, enabling us to create collaborative tools for the United Nations to help countries align on the ethical use of AI and autonomous AI in the world for global good. And then a year later, in 2018, we were experimenting with natural language and what that means to enable multi-sided self-service at platforms like Airbnb. Right? What's interesting about this is to have a platform like this, you need that natural language processing to take the cost and complexity out of it in order to enable platforms like this to exist. And today, now we have large language models. And the appetite and the demand for experiments, as you might imagine, is only increasing. In fact, it's increasing exponentially, as marked by the introduction of ChatGPT in 2022. And it's fueled by exponential investment in compute. Right? You were reaching 25 billion in investment in compute in this year alone. And exponential advancement. This is the number of AI tools that are available to innovators and marketers like ourselves in order to accomplish goals. But with growth like this, there are challenges, right? The tech is evolving exponentially, But organizations, and I think we'd all agree with this, they change more logarithmically. So the question is, how can you catch up, right? The answer is really through experimentation, or as I like to tell my students, making to learn. But then say, well, professor, what do we make? Well, my research has evidence that there are two main initiatives that leaders at the forefront are doing in order to propel them forward, right? And this is the bulk of my talk. Prototyping AI in the loop workflows for internal teams and partners, and then also envisioning agentic experiences for end consumers. I'm going to talk about these two for the rest of my time. The first one, prototyping AI in the loop workflows. So what do we mean by workflows? Right? These are some examples. Workflows are just packages of work that we use to get things accomplished in business. And I've been researching a wide range of them, from optimizing operations, customer support, knowledge management. But today I'll just share one of these, which is near and dear to my heart, probably yours as well as innovators and marketers, expanding innovation, right? Delivering insights, prototypes, and validating those ideas. And we're going to dive into this innovation example in just a second. But like, how do you get started, right? If you're looking at AI in the loop workflows, the thing to do is start looking at your most critical decisions that you have to make, the critical recurring decisions, whether that's innovation, marketing, customer service, et cetera, and then say, what are the workflows that you are currently doing that support those decisions? Right, so let's look at this for innovation. So there are three main decisions that we have to make as innovators. The first one is, what is desirable to users? And in order to make that decision, there are a number of workflows that fall underneath that: behavioral research, trend analysis, et cetera. Okay? And then your second big decision is, what's viable as a business? And then there are workflows underneath that. And then the third one is, what's possible for us to create as an organization? And then there are workflows underneath that. So it's like a nested decisions and workflows. And then these workflows, commonly, they fall in some sort of sequence. It's not waterfall, we know this, it's iterative. But so we take a look at these workflows, and then in my experience as a consultant, as well as a professor, I've created a number of frameworks that help facilitate those workflows, make them more collaborative, spark creativity. And then in essence, as I was looking through this research, there are 7 things that we do as innovators. We collect qualitative and quantitative data, we derive insights, generate ideas, build prototypes, make pilots, and then scale the ones that are most important. So how can generative AI impact this in a very positive way, right? Is it just going to simply create more data and more access? Is it going to enable us to move faster? What are the outcomes? So the only way to know this is to run experiments. And that's what I just did. I'm going to share one with you. A retail experiment for a superstore that goes across these 7 workflows to create innovation. And the question was, how can we use generative AI in order to accelerate, increase impact, in order to innovate better? So this superstore, today they focus on a target customer they call the CEOs of the household. Moms, typically, with kids at home that are in charge of the purchase decisions. Now, this may be a terrifying statistic to you. I know it is for me because I have Gen Z children. But in 5 years' time, Gen Z will be the prime parenting demographic. And they behave a little differently. We'll see if it plays out when they become parents, but they're known to be adhering to their closely held values, right? While shopping for value. So how will this impact this superstore's ability to target these customers? And how might generative AI help us get there in innovation? So to do this, I ran 7 experiments strung together to inform this workflow, each asking a question. So the first one, you think about the workflow of conducting research to understand what's desirable to users. Rather than just going out and conducting immersive user research in the field, we're saying, what if we could scrape forums like Reddit and other forums to uncover insights that would be actionable? So to run this experiment, we're going to scrape a forum. And we're looking for needs specific to frugal shopping across digital and physical channels for Gen Z customers. Okay, and we started with Reddit because it's the most rich, real interactions that people are having, so that it more mirrors what might be happening if you're actually conducting real research, because they're authentic interactions. And there's so many subreddit forums that you could get unique insights from. We'll just look at one, Are Frugal. 4 million members. So if you did not have generative AI, how long would it take an innovator or a research team to go through all these posts to look for patterns? It might not even be possible. So we're saying, well, with generative AI, maybe we could do something that could never be done before. And this may not replace in the field research, but I created a tool called Pattern for this experiment where you could scrape any subreddit forum, put in the dates that you want to look, the number of posts that you want to search, and put an objective. This is like looking for frugal shopping. So this is like a cooking show. This takes about 3 hours to get this many posts, but this is the result. So I framed it where it goes through all the unstructured text, and it finds, in this case, 35 different need states, and I structure them the way innovators might be interested, like what are the objectives, the activities, the breakdowns, the workarounds. And then if you're a researcher, you can kind of comb through and say, what of these categories is interesting to me? And then you can go in there and double click and say, oh, this is one's interesting. People are changing stores, and this user is changing stores to find more ethical purchase options. Sounds very Gen Z. So if you're interested in this, you can click on this and it pulls up the actual post so you can get context. So this is interesting. This is the results of that first experiment around gathering insights, qualitative and quantitative, and it kind of blends the two. So say you have these insights as well as others. I asked myself, what if we could create proprietary prompt spaces for individual teams to accomplish goals? That's something that we couldn't do before. So maybe you take these forum insights and you have other things like strategic planning decks, segmentation decks, maybe research transcripts, and you want to find new insights from this. How many people have a ton of research that has been done in the past and you'd love to mine new insights from it? Okay, well, we said, well, what if we could create a vector space out of all this research and create basically a way to interact through large language models to identify insights and create, say, a Project Z Gen parent prompt space that is intuitive to solve that problem at hand. And then every time a researcher does new research, they can put it into the space and query it. So that's interesting, something that generative AI is enabling that couldn't be done before. Then we said, well, what if you could create digital twins of your teams in terms of generating ideas, that insight workflow? Again, another experiment where we created a digital twin of a prototypical innovation team. And you see each of these cubes is an agent that we trained to be an expert in its domain. So a user experience agent, brand, process and capabilities, partners, profit models, channels, and offerings. And they will all collaborate, just like a real world team will, in order to solve a problem. And each one is trained on its own domain, but we also, in this case, trained it on the superstore's domain. So brand, for example, it has company-specific brand strategies, branding fundamentals, information about Gen Z. So it's perfectly trained to solve this particular problem. So you can put any prompt you want in here, press run, and the first agent to get it naturally would be the user experience agent. And from there, the agents choose. All right, so the user experience agent, for example, looks at the wants and needs of Gen Z shoppers, passes it to the brand agent who thinks about maybe unique moments and things that would be relevant for this particular brand. That agent passes it to process and capability, thinks about tech, operational considerations. That agent passes it to partners, maybe thinks about ethical partners, ethical brands, ESG reporting. That agent passes it to profit models, which thinks about potential revenue sources, costs, and then that agent passes it to the channel agent and thinks about pricing, promotion, community influencers, and then the final agent to get it compiles everything every previous agent did and pulls it into multiple different new business models and retail concepts and basically features. So all done autonomously with agents based on the prompts and the training that we did for it. Does this replace innovation teams? Absolutely not, but it ends up being a companion to help fill the blind spots. So here's one example of many that came up with this idea of Bloom, a new innovative retail concept that blends tech, fashion, technology, sustainability into a single ecosystem. It has these features below, like a decentralized retail network instead of a big box, dynamic eco-impact pricing, which I thought was an interesting idea, very Gen Z. It has a resale secondhand market, a growth-aware closet subscription. It has an AI agent that understands your child's changing needs and identity and suggests clothing for them as they grow. It has a community thread and a carbon positive membership. So this is one of many that the agents came up with. I thought this one was interesting. So in the case of all these, you can reprompt the agents and say, hey, I like this idea. Give me an information architecture for this Bloom idea. So the offering agent and the user experience agent collaborate in order to very quickly develop a information architecture for a theoretical website for this theoretical concept. So then I asked myself, well, what could we do with this? So whether it's information architecture or other structures around prototypes, what if you could use Gen Z to, again, that next workflow to create prototypes for this, scenarios of future concepts. So this is one of the tools we experimented with. You can copy and paste the information architecture into it, and agents will create a website. You're going to design and code a website for us just based on the information architecture that these generative AI agents created. So here it is working live. This is not humans. This is agents creating, basically an information architecture, the shop page, community thread, a Bloom membership. They're writing headlines, calls to actions. It's actually designing wireframes with code behind it, which is interesting because you can use this as a click-through prototype maybe to test with users. So that's interesting. That was another experiment. And then we said, well, what if you could create multiple variants of this? You can skin it and create prototypes that look very, very real so you can test them with users. Another step in this workflow. So I created another experiment that integrates with Figma, Wizard, Jasper, image creation tools like Midjourney to skin these, and also even available design systems to skin these prototypes and create multiple different variants that accentuate different aspects of the value proposition so that you can test them with users. Create, say, Instagram ads, send them out to real users, push them back to the working website, and then you can test click-through rates, conversion rates, so you can understand what aspects of the value proposition are more resonant with users, so you can tell you what to go to market with and help you iterate. And then the last piece of the workflow, I was thinking this validation piece. It's interesting to do this with real users, but could you do it at scale, and can you do it more cheaply? So what if you could create agents, synthetic personas of your actual customers and test them with agents instead of real users? You can still test them with real users, but that kind of blends that qualitative and quantitative validation piece. So again, this is the last experiment for this, but similar to that previous one where we were training agents, we're now training customer agents. And we're taking CRM data, forum data, industry reports, and creating amalgams of users that then you can prompt. So this is one of the many personas that we created. This is Zach, persona number 33. A Gen Z would be parent, and then you can give them concepts and say, what are your positive and negative reactions? You can prompt it with whatever you want. And so this is one of the positive reactions to Bloom. He's definitely vibing with the idea of micro hubs located in communities. And we're saying, okay, Zach, what do you not like? He had a negative reaction around this one. An AI suggesting clothing for my child sounds cool, but also slightly invasive. I was like, wait a minute, Zach, you're an AI. But that's good because he's reacting the way a real human might, right? And by the way, we tested this with real users and these AI users, and they had very similar responses. So proving out that this does work. All right, so this is an example of a strung together workflow around innovation in an experiment for a real superstore to prove out this idea of how AI could augment and change what we're doing. So yes, it can make things go from hours to minutes, but more importantly, it can help you discover instant insight, synthesize all types of data from every angle, curate infinite concept systems, and expand your ability to validate. So this is just one example of prototyping and the loop workflows for innovation. Look at your most critical recurring decisions across any domain you're interested in, and then say what workflows are currently being enacted to support these decisions, and then how might AI augment. Okay, that's the first half. Now, the second thing I want to share with you is envisioning agentic user experiences for customers. And what do I mean by agentic? Well, as a result of LLMs, we're all familiar with that. LLMs help us process human language, and GANs enable us to process visual images, and large action models, LAMs, enable these AIs to actually take action on our behalf. So because of these three things that are very new for generative AI, AI no longer shows up just as a tool like it did in the past to analyze things. It shows up as an agent, meaning it makes decisions, takes actions on our behalf, it learns from those actions, and then invents new ways to solve for it. It's very new. So you think, oh, I know what this is. It's chatbots. Not really. Chatbots, like Siri, they're based on scripted workflows, predefined rules, pre-programmed responses. That's why they're not that good. Now we have generative AI agents that understand context, they understand complex queries, and they create personalized, real responses that are helpful. So yesterday, and still today, people go to the internet to search and find things and solve their problems. And in the near future, agents are going to do this for us. Going to the internet, bringing the internet to us, curating one-on-one solutions for each of us that are exactly what we need. So in the future, we're all going to have personal AI agents, meaning they're going to know who we are, they're going to be embedded in our personal ecosystems, on our phones, in our cars, our home assistants, and then they are going to gatekeep for us, because there'll be other agents in the world, AI agents, and they're going to say, these are the ones you can work with, these are the ones you can't, and they're going to collaborate to solve things. Like, for example, I'm booking a trip to Copenhagen. My agent will work with airline agents, hotel agents, rideshare agents to pull this whole thing together for me. So there's signals from the future of this already happening. Has anybody heard of Pi, your personal AI? This is an agent that is your personal agent for life. You can chat with it. It learns about you. You can have it do things for you, like a personal assistant. It can be your therapist. Which sounds crazy, but don't believe me. It has $1.5 billion of funding from NVIDIA, Bill Gates, Microsoft. This is evidence that personal agents are coming. This is the CEO of Deutsche Telekom, the majority owner of T-Mobile. He just stood up and he held this phone up. He said, this is our future T-Mobile phone. It's called the T-Phone. It won't have any apps in it. It's going to be run by agents. So you never need an app anymore. This phone, this agentic phone is going to do everything for you. This is not a human. This is a digital human created by NVIDIA, and they're giving away the blueprints for this for everyone so that any company can use this to create a super lifelike looking human agent. Imagine you're a pharmaceutical company and you want to have an agent talk to a patient and tell it about indications of your drug, and you want it to be very disarming. You can do this now. And then you know Claude it's another large language model. They have an agent here that will surf you give it a task and it takes over your computer. It searches multiple websites, it clicks on things, purchases things, and accomplishes tasks for you. So this is an indication that agents are coming. So what does this mean for brands, for companies? Customers will no longer surf websites. They won't shop at platforms. They won't download apps. Agents will curate it for them. And this can be a little hard to grasp. So to help my students and other experimenters and corporations understand, I have created a near-in scenario that explains how this works. And it's about Sarah. She's a Gen Z life augmenter. And what does that mean? Well, she uses AI agents to optimize her life, to eliminate rote tasks and help her be more creative. So this scenario involves Sarah as well as her brother Gerald, whose birthday's coming up, a mutual friend Alex, who they're going to visit Gerald, Sarah's personal AI agent Lilium, and her fitness agent Ike, who is actually a Nike agent, and a bunch of other agents that work for other companies. Okay. So we're going to catch up with Sarah at the end of her workday, and her agent Lilium says, hey, Sarah, you have 2 items for tonight. Do you want to work out after work? And she says, yes, I do. And then Lillian says, okay, great. Well, do you also want to plan for your brother Gerald's birthday party? And she says, yes, later tonight. So we will all have personal agents. We're going to give them our data, our banking data, our shopping history, everything about us. And in exchange, they're going to do things for us that we can't even imagine today. All right, so Sarah said, yep, she wants to work out. So her fitness agent, Ike, comes on and says, hey, how are you feeling about your workout tonight? Do you want to crush it or just cruise? She's like, I want to crush it. Great. Brands like Nike and so many others will have this active engagement with users rather than passively going to the website. So they can come into your life and actually do things for you and deliver great value. So for example, Ike says, great, I sent directions to your phone, to the new gym. I got a coconut water for you. It's ready for you when you arrive. So these agents will plan, book, and buy things for you based on the parameters you give them. Now, Sarah's at her workout. Ike's there. He's got a one-of-one workout prepared for her. She hops on the cycle, gets going. Ike's in the background there for her. He's saying, hey, we're going to take it up a notch in a second. These agents will be monitoring us, learning, and responding for us in real time, whether it's in a workout situation or banking or taking your medication. So Sarah cranks it up a notch. Ike's like, hey, I'm going to change up your music through Spotify to keep you motivated. Once she gets her heart rate up, Ike pulls up, connects with her Garmin device, shows her heart rate. So these agents will collaborate with other brand agents in order to deliver these complete experiences. Okay. Now Sarah's back at home. She's at the couch. She had a great workout. Her agent Lillian pops up on her TV screen and say, hey, let's go over that birthday plan for Gerald. I've great 3 options for you, right, based on your past preferences. And I think Leon is going to be the best one. So Sarah clicks on it. She said, that's great. So agents will create custom experiences based on her preferences and behaviors. Sarah clicks on Leon. And the first thing she notices is that Lillian, her agent, didn't just give her an itinerary. Lillian collaborated with United Airlines, Airbnb, OpenTable, et cetera, in order to create a complete experience for her. She's interested in the Airbnb. She checks it out. She likes it. So again, these agents are going to collaborate in order to create these complete experiences for us like we have never done before. Now she notices a 3D icon next to the OpenTable, so she puts on her face computer and she sees this really interesting restaurant. And she's like, I'm sold. I love it. Let's send this trip to Gerald. And then Lillian, the agent, says, okay, I've written a note. Do you want me to send it? She says, yes, send it. And also, this looks like a fancy place. Help me find an outfit for this trip. So these agents will be multimodal and immersive. They're going to switch fluidly from text to image to 3D in order to adapt to the context and the needs that users have. Okay, she said, help me find a new outfit for the trip. And then Lillian, the agent, says, great, do you want me to offer brands the opportunity to show you things? And she said, yeah, how about these brands? What's happening here? Brand agents will be empowered to pay you to consider their products. This is an extension of the data marketplace that is occurring right now. We all have more control of our data. Now it's the next day. She's at the farmer's market. She gets a ping from Lillian. Hey, I found a dress that you liked. It's at Harrods. It's 2 blocks away. It's in your size. So she's like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm going to check this out. She likes this dress. And then Lillian says, do you want me to hold this for you? And she says, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I want to go there right now. Take me there. Lillian pulls together a map that tells her exactly how to get there. So these agents will be context aware, like knowing your location, retailers' real-time inventory, et cetera, in order to enable these things to happen for users. Now it's the day of her travel. Sarah's asleep, but Lillian's hard at work. Lillian is changing her alarm from 6 o'clock to 6:18, letting her sleep in 18 minutes. Why? Because the traffic is lighter than usual. She still has the same amount of time to get to work. So agents will be constantly monitoring external factors to help you reach your goals. Lillian wakes Sarah up, tells her what's happened. You're welcome. You got 18 minutes extra sleep. And also says, hey, I know you're traveling with Alex. She's sharing her location with you. Do you want to do that as well? Agents will suggest these conditional data permissions with friends and colleagues, and as well as other brands to accomplish the parameters that you're trying to accomplish. Now, Sarah is getting to the airport. Lilium, her agent, says, hey, your friend Alex arrived at the gate. She's at Cafe Nero. Do you want me to let her know you're here? Sure. And then also, would you like me to order your special drink for you that you always buy? She said, yeah, let's do it. Sarah gets to security and gets another notification. Hey, your friend Alex picked up your drink for you. So this requires Alex's agent and hers to collaborate, as well as Cafe Nero's. They get to the gate on time. They're enjoying their coffee. So agents will remove rote interactions so you can focus on the most important ones. So it's a lot. It's very different than today. Seems like a promise we've been talking about forever with technology, but this is basically at our fingertips. 3 things. People will have personal agents that bring the internet to them. Agents will collaborate to create meaningful one-of-one experiences. Agents will learn and respond in real time, planning and buying for users, and get better and better and better over time. So, what will your customers expect when we don't go to sites, apps, or sales tools, and your brands are defined by the agents that you present? What will be your future agents at the front end of the real-time internet? What will be your Gen AI experience? So in conclusion, there are 2 initiatives that companies are doing to lead the forefront of generative AI. Prototyping AI in the loop workflows, which involves starting with your most critical decisions, identifying the workflows that you're currently going through to solve these things, and then prototyping, iterating, which, by the way, upskills your teams and enables you to scale. And then secondarily, envisioning these agentic experiences, how agents will empower your customers to work, play, and experience and achieve what matters most to them relative to your business model, your offerings, and what you're trying to help them achieve. So that's it in conclusion. There's more, though. There'll be an opportunity to double click on this. I'll see you at my lab later this afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the opening keynote for our summit that we're having right now here in Copenhagen. This is, of course, just the start of our 3-day summit with lots of presentations throughout the event. But even more so, there's a lot of interaction. We have labs and group discussions and networking breaks, and that's where the real value lies, in meeting other people from large corporations. And that's the defining feature of our summit, that it's only and exclusively for innovators and others in large multinational corporations. So it is truly a peer-to-peer event, and everybody can feel the special vibe that this creates. Of course, the summit is right now, but you will have a chance on the 4th to 6th of November next year, and we do have events throughout the year in all parts of Europe and the US and Asia for that matter. So find an opportunity to come to our events. You will not regret it. I invite you to check out our calendar of events for next year and our membership